tonight. Regina City Council votes to fire City Manager Niki Anderson. Beauval evacuees head home after wildfires nearly destroyed their community. And some Good Samaritans help wildfire victims recover precious items they thought were gone forever.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Wednesday, July 30th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. I'm Ethan Williams. Thank you for joining us. It is a move not many saw coming. Regina's city manager, Niki Anderson, has been fired. It comes after she spent less than 3 years on the job and after she's been on leave for the last few months. Alexander Kwan has the latest from Regina City Hall.
Details on the motion were not provided to the public before Regina City Council voted on it, and there was a little discussion on the matter at Wednesday's meeting before the 10-1 vote in favor of Niki Anderson's removal. Her termination is without cause, which means the City of Regina will have to make a severance payment to Anderson. We don't know how much that will be or why the decision was made, but what we do know is that Anderson was paid more than $300,000 last year, and she's been on leave since April. Councillor Shannon Zakidniak was the only councillor to vote against the motion. She says she doesn't agree with paying out yet another terminated city employee.
Since I've been elected in 2020, we've paid out more than $1 million to folks by firing them without cause and paying them out accordingly. So, you know, if we want to talk about being efficient with our money, that's a clear way that we could certainly find some savings.
Anderson was hired in the fall of 2022 on a 5-year contract. Her predecessor, Chris Holden, was abruptly fired without cause 2 years before his contract was set to expire as well. He received around $850,000 in severance pay. A search for a new city manager has not yet started, but Zakidniak is worried about the message this sends to potential candidates.
Who is going to want to come work for our city if we've, fired the past 2 city managers without cause?
For now, City Clerk Jim Nickel will continue to serve as the interim city manager until a new manager is hired. Alexander Kwan, CBC News, Regina.
The mayor of Saskatoon is raising concerns about a controversial musician scheduled to perform in the city in August. Sean Foyt, a Christian singer from the U.S., has been affiliated with the MAGA movement and has spoken publicly against the 2S LGBTQ+ community and abortion rights on multiple occasions. Foyt has been forced to cancel concerts across Canada as communities in Nova Scotia, PEI, New Brunswick, Quebec, and Manitoba have already denied or revoked his concert permits. Now, Saskatoon Mayor Cynthia Block is looking at doing the same.
This is a safety issue. It is a physical safety issue, and I am personally worried about the overall safety of a community that allows that type of performance to come to our city. The Saskatoon Police Service is looking at this urgently. I have requested that they make a decision sooner rather than later because it's making, I think, our whole community feel very tense about what's coming here in August.
Saskatoon police say they're not aware of any immediate safety concerns, but will work with the event organizers to ensure public safety. For now, Foyt's concert is expected to go ahead in Diefenbaker Park on August 21st. Some northern Saskatchewan wildfire evacuees are finally heading home, relieved as their communities call down evacuation orders. But others are worried they won't have homes to return to as fires continue to burn, and officials say the danger is far from over. Ashwarya Duda has the latest.
I'm happy to go home.
Buses rolled out of Saskatoon Wednesday morning as hundreds of evacuees from Beauval are returning home after a month of being displaced by wildfires.
I'm feeling anxious. I'm excited. My dogs and my mom, my dad, they stayed back, and my dad was security and my mom's a nurse over there.
Children, elders, and those with health concerns are staying behind for now. Meanwhile, wildfires continue to rage in other parts of Saskatchewan, including near Lac La Planche, Patronac, and English River First Nation. Officials handling the emergency response there say everything around the reserve has burned, and what's left is in danger.
When we come home, it's going to be a really different picture. There's gonna be no trees. Everything's gonna be black.
Paul says the province wasn't prepared, has been too late to respond, and lacks resources. The Saskatchewan Public Safety Agency says that it's protecting infrastructure in that area, while Type 3 firefighters from other provinces, countries, and the Canadian Armed Forces are working on the ground elsewhere. Those Type 3 firefighters help contain fires and do cleanups, while other firefighters are working in more high-risk areas. And although people from Beauval are able to return home, nearby Jans Bay and Cole Bay are still evacuated.
No, it's not safe. Like Beauval went back because it's safe for them, and us, it's still flaring up behind the community. We're trying to go back. We miss our homes.
I miss Sky and Rex only.
She only misses her dogs, but we miss everything back home.
But with little rain in the forecast and heat warnings now issued for parts of the north, fire crews are bracing for what's ahead. Ashwarya Duda, CBC News, Saskatoon.
And the Canadian Red Cross says it will give money to those displaced by the fires. It's part of the $15 million committed to the agency by the provincial government last month. That includes a one-time $750 payment for those whose communities were evacuated for more than a week, but where the evacuation order has lifted, and $2,000 for those whose communities were evacuated for more than a week and have not been able to return for over a month. If you're a member of a First Nations community, you will be paid through your community's leadership. Otherwise, you must have registered with the Red Cross to receive the money. In Denair Beach, a humanitarian aid group is helping people recover personal items that were lost to the wildfire there last month. Samaritan's Purse volunteers are familiar with sifting through the ruins in search of valuables that somehow survived the flames. Alio Marco Omene has that story.
Amidst the destruction in fire-ravaged Denair Beach, there are glimmers of hope for some of the people who live there. Volunteers with Samaritan's Purse are helping them recover what they thought was lost to the fires.
They ask us for help. It's not the homeowners going in. They're standing at the side. They're with our team leads there, and it's the volunteers. You know, we've trained them on how to go in, how to sift, you know, and they might say, well, my bedroom was over here in this corner and my wedding rings were over there, and I had some of this, you know, over here was my kitchen, and, you know, I had this really cool tea set that my grandma gave me.
35 volunteers have completed more than 70 search requests from residents since they arrived July 11th, and many of them have been successful.
It's pretty cool when homeowners say, I forgot about that. That even this response, you know, there was a little angel that we were, porcelain angel, and a wing had broken off in the fire, but we found both pieces. And the homeowner's like, that, my grandma gave me that when I was a little girl, and she was my favorite person in the world, and I forgot that I even had that.
Suter says many people feel they have lost control when their lives are affected by a disaster. And recoveries like this are an important part of their healing journey.
You know, your house floods or your house burned down, or, you know, trees go through your roof, or whatever that looks like. You are out of control of all of that. And it is really, that's why we do it with the homeowners. You know, the work that we do, they say, well, can you just do it for me? And we're like, no, we want to do it with you, because this is a really important part of your recovery, and it gives you control back.
The group has equipment with them so they can be self-sufficient while they stay in the community. With limited options for shelter, volunteers have set up tents in a field where they will stay until all requests are complete. Aliyah Marco Omene, CBC News, Regina.
The Saskatchewan NDP say some rural hospitals are so understaffed they're relying more and more on virtual care. The party is currently touring communities to speak with residents about their experiences with virtual care in rural ERs. The province's rural and remote health minister admits virtual care is happening, but promises it's only a stopgap measure and not a permanent solution.
We have those registered nurses and professionals at those small ERs who are able to pick up the phone and call a doctor, and sometimes they can do a visual piece to that as well if it's necessary. And it's working right now, but the goal is to actually get bodies in those facilities.
Carr says 2,700 hospital disruptions were avoided by using the virtual physicians program over a 16-month period. But the NDP says virtual care doesn't cut it for emergencies, and more needs to be done to staff hospitals with in-person doctors. Well, people lined the streets of Saskatoon Wednesday morning to get a good view of the Saskatoon X Parade. The annual exhibition kicks off Thursday and runs through next week. Also performances there from bands including High Valley and Loverboy and even Smash Mouth as well. It runs at the same time as the Queen City X in Regina, which kicked off Wednesday and runs until Sunday. And there is some hot weather in store for exhibition goers in both cities. Helena Mahalik will tell us how hot things are going to get in her forecast after the break. Welcome back. Donald Trump's August 1st deadline for Canada and the U.S. to reach a trade deal is coming up fast, and there's no clear indication of where talks stand.
Morning, how are you? Bonjour, ça va? Any update on the trade negotiations?
Minister for Canada-U.S. Trade Dominic LeBlanc is in Washington for talks. Donald Trump says he will increase the tariff rate on some Canadian imports to 35% if the two countries can't reach an agreement. The U.S. president made that point again Wednesday on social media, saying, quote, "The August 1st deadline is the August 1st deadline. It stands strong and will not be extended." And the Bank of Canada is holding its key lending rate steady at 2.75% amid trade tensions with the United States.
The increases we've seen in U.S. effective tariff rates are less than what was threatened, but they are still outside post-war historical experience. But the unusual degree of uncertainty does mean we have to put more weight on the risks. We're looking at over a shorter horizon than usual, and we are ready to respond to new information.
Macklem says the central bank will be watching for how much tariffs affect business activity and demand for Canadian exports, and whether higher costs from those import duties are passed on to customers. More than ever before, we rely on satellites up in orbit to support daily life down here on Earth. Canada has lagged behind other nations when it comes to space infrastructure, but that could soon be changing. Brett Ruskin has more on how the East Coast is wading into this space race.
10, 9.
Inside this rocket, a shoebox-sized satellite that took 2.5 years to build.
It's very exciting to see it go into space.
1, ignition. And liftoff of Falcon 9. Go SpaceX, go Transporter 14.
Liftoff was last month, and the satellite will soon capture images of Earth. But while many satellites snap pictures and send them back to the surface, this one uses AI to analyze them first.
If you can imagine taking pictures of the ocean, most of the cases you're just seeing water, not important. So you don't want all that information to come back down. You're looking for specific surface vessels, for instance.
Identifying ships in the ocean or early signs of wildfire in the woods puts this Canadian company at the cutting edge of satellite technology. But for their launch, there was no Canadian way to get to space.
Right now, we built the spacecrafts here, but we have to launch them elsewhere.
That means relying on the United States.
So now we're #1 in space by a lot. It's not even close.
The strained Canada-U.S. relationship has some questioning that reliance.
You know, we went through that with COVID and the ability to produce vaccines and stuff, the sovereign capability for production of vaccines. It's that lesson, I think, that's very real, that has become more apparent in just the last 6 months.
He and his team are building a spaceport in Canso, Nova Scotia. It'll be like an airport for rockets, where companies can come to launch in a remote but well-supported location. They've already hosted small rockets. A company from Europe is coming to launch in October, and more are on the way.
They're drumming their fingers and they're waiting and they're ready.
So Canada has satellites, a launch pad. Now we just need a rocket. A handful of companies are spending millions to develop designs, including one planning a test launch next month in Newfoundland.
So that launch is a very important one, historic as well, but it's a low-altitude demonstration of our Taiga launch vehicle.
He says just like Canadians scoffed at becoming the 51st state, we should likewise defend our space sovereignty too.
Sovereignty is more important than ever means that access to space is as well, just as important a domain as the land, sea, and the air.
And weather specialist Helena Mahalik joins us now, and back down here on Earth. Helena, things really heating up in our province.
Yeah, things really heating up, Ethan. We saw temperatures return to seasonal for south and central, but many areas in the north under a heat warning. Let's take a look at what's going on in the province. So that area that's under the heat warning also has a 30% chance of showers with a risk of thunderstorms. This is in the northwest for areas around Cree Lake and Buffalo Narrows. And although our radar isn't picking up the daytime highs up north, temperatures were getting up to 30 degrees, and that prompted heat warnings to be in place. The rest of the province at about seasonal temperatures for this time of year, but in the coming days, things are going to be heating up even more. We also saw some poor air quality return to the province. We only had about one day, Tuesday, where we saw some relief, but now we're seeing air quality warnings back in effect for the far north and east central parts of the province, as well as parts of the southeast corner around Estevan. In the coming days, we're going to continue to see smoke get pushed up towards the far north or out towards Manitoba, and smoke plumes may continue to be present in areas around Estevan in the southeast corner there. We're seeing pretty calm conditions all throughout the week in the province. We're just going to see some scattered rain showers throughout the week. Thursday afternoon, that's going to be in the Churchill region for areas around La Ronge. And as we get ahead to Friday, we're going to see a chance of thunderstorms in the southwest corner around Cypress Hills. And into Saturday, as we look to the weekend, we're seeing mainly clear conditions throughout much of the province. Again, maybe a slight chance of rain just along the U.S. border in the south there. And for winds, we're not seeing too much as well. Wednesday in the north, just up to 30 kilometers an hour. We're continuing to see wind direction could be pushing some of that smoke up towards the far north or out towards Manitoba. Into Thursday, we're going to see winds pick up in the south, about 30 kilometers an hour. So that could help push out some of that smoke, again, up towards the north. And into Friday, we're again going to see about 30 kilometers an hour wind gusts. And again, the direction might be favorable in pushing some of that smoke back up towards the north. And temperature-wise, Wednesday, we are about seasonal, but again, the north saw temperatures up to 30 degrees. And as we get to Thursday, the entire province is going to be feeling that 30-degree heat. Friday, that's going to continue, and heat warnings might be possible for south and central Saskatchewan for a few days of that 30-degree weather. We're going to see that last until about Saturday. So, Ethan, you can find me at the beach Saturday, trying not to get a sunburn with some of this 30-degree weather.
I've already been unsuccessful in avoiding the sunburns this summer so far. Helena, thank you.
Thanks, Ethan.
Well, the Saskatchewan Roughriders are ramping up their preparations for Saturday night's tilt against the Montreal Alouettes. The Riders currently boast the CFL's best record. The club is coming off back-to-back wins against the BC Lions and Edmonton Elks. Games in Montreal, however, have not been kind to the Riders as of late. The team has not won in the city since 2021. Longtime CFL veterans say Percival Molson Stadium is a tough stadium to play in.
Their fan base has their back. Always makes it tough to play there. You know, humidity changes some things. Just a really tough environment to play, I think, and they really band together well when we go there.
Their fans are great, and you know, ever since they've kind of turned it around, you know, they started kind of turning around in 19, and then 21, made the playoffs. 22, won a playoff game, then win the cup.
Receiver Sam Emelis, who left last week's game and did not return, has been absent from practice all week with a knee injury. Kickoff Saturday afternoon is scheduled for 5 o'clock Saskatchewan time. Well, thousands of fans of the godfather of heavy metal have paid their last respects to Ozzy Osbourne. Black Sabbath fans lined the streets of Birmingham, England, as his hearse made its way to a private funeral service. Osbourne grew up in the city, and it's where the band was formed in 1968. Osbourne also had a successful solo career, but found a new legion of fans in the early 2000s with the reality show The Osbournes. He, of course, starred alongside his wife Sharon and their two youngest children, Kelly and Jack, in that series. Ozzy Osbourne died July 22nd at the age of 76. Stay with us. We have more news and a final look at the forecast after the break. Well, by now, you may have seen Chappell Roan's new video that purportedly shows the pop sensation driving a moving truck past a Welcome to Saskatchewan sign. Our province is mentioned in her new song, The Subway, which debuts Thursday. And Saskatchewan-based marketing company Captive Media was asked by Universal Music to produce that video teaser.
It's been a whirlwind, honestly. It still feels like a dream. The title of the email was Confidential Chappell Roan Social Media Campaign, and we all start freaking out. This was on a Friday, and they wanted the footage by Tuesday, so we scrambled all weekend to make it happen, and honestly, we're still buzzing over it. Initially, they were going to expedite us a red wig, and then it wasn't going to make it here in time, so they asked us to find one. They had asked if we could get a Saskatchewan license plate made that says The Subway. So our designer quickly did that up. We really worked together on creating a shot list that we think would look the best and turn out in a way that they would be happy with and also shows off Saskatchewan. So I think we did that, and yeah, we're really proud of how the video turned out. No one ever talks about Saskatchewan. No one even knows how to pronounce it. So having this huge star sing about us, pronounce it properly, it's nice to get a shout out. Like, nobody thinks about us in the prairies, so it feels pretty cool.
And Helena is back to tell us if it will be too hot to go outside this week.
Yeah, Ethan, the entire province is going to be singing HOTT-OGO this week because temperatures will be hot. Let's take a look at the forecast for the city of Regina. Temperatures will be jumping up Thursday, a slight chance of some rainfall in Regina, dropping back to seasonal Friday for just about a day before we see those closer to 30-degree conditions come back, and it's going to last us into next week. We may see a day of some rainfall over the weekend, and our overnight lows are going to be closer to 20 degrees as well. Temperatures are definitely not casual now in Saskatoon, with temperatures close to 30 degrees all throughout the week. We're going to see the sun out all throughout until Sunday, where a chance of rainfall comes, and that's going to take us until about Wednesday, a chance of some breeze later on to the next week. And again, our overnight lows are going to be closer to 20 degrees. So Ethan, it's definitely going to be a hot week in the province. So I might be listening to Chappell Roan at the beach this week.
What do you think? Is she coming to Saskatchewan after all this?
Oh, she's coming to Saskatchewan, and I'm going to interview her.
There you go. Coming to Regina, right? Not Saskatoon.
Both. I'm manifesting it.
We'll compromise. Yeah, there you go. Okay, thanks, Alina.
Thanks, Ethan.
That's our news for this Wednesday. You can always head to our website or YouTube channel for more news and download the news app on your smartphone or tablet. Thanks so much for watching.